Today we shall read Lesson 5 from your Class 8 textbook, Blossoms. The story is Princess September. The writer, William Somerset Maugham. Let's talk a little bit about the writer. William Somerset Maugham was born in 1874 in France, and he died in 1965 in France itself. But he was a British playwright, a novelist, a short story writer, and also a trained physician, that is, a doctor. During and after the World Wars, he traveled to India and Southeast Asia. He served in the British Army as an intelligence officer during the First World War. But he became such a good writer that he gave up his other work, he gave up his profession as a doctor to become a full-time writer. Of Human Bondage is regarded as Maugham's most important novel. His other important works include The Razor's Edge, The Moon and Sixpence, and so on. The present text is an adapted version of his short story of the same name. He used his experience from travel profusely to write his stories. Okay? So, let's read the story now. Princess September, the daughter of the king of Siam, was very unhappy. She was weeping alone one day in her own room when she saw a little bird hop in. Then the little bird began to sing. He sang a beautiful song all about the lake in the king's garden and the willow trees reflected in the still water. When he had finished, the princess was not crying anymore. "That was a very nice song," she said. "Would you want me to live with you?" said the little bird. Princess September clapped her hands with delight. Then the little bird hopped onto the end of the bed and sang her to sleep. When she awoke the next day, the little bird was still sitting there, and as she opened her eyes, he said, "Good morning." She stretched out the first finger of her right hand so that it served as a perch. The little bird flew down and sat on it. Then she went through the palace and called on each of the princesses in turn. And for each of the princesses, the little bird sang a different song. The other princesses were jealous and visited September together. "Well, my dear," they said, "your little bird flies in and out just as he likes." They looked round the room. "Where's your bird now?" they said. "He's gone off to visit his home," said September. "And what makes you think he'll come back?" asked the princesses. "He always does come back," said September. "Well, my dear," said the princesses, If you take our advice, pop him into the cage and keep him there. But I like to have him fly around the room, said the princess. Safety first, said her sisters, ominously. They got up and walked out of the room, shaking their heads. And they left September very uneasy. It seemed to her that the little bird was away a long time, and she could not think of what he was doing. He might forget her, or he might take a fancy to someone else. Suddenly, September heard a tweet, tweet just behind her ear. The bird had come in quietly. September felt her heart go thump, thump against her chest, and she made up her mind to take no more risks. She put up her hand and took hold of the bird. The bird was quite used to this, so he suspected nothing. He was surprised when she carried him to the cage, put him in, and shut the door on him. He hopped up on the ivory perch and said, "What is wrong?" September said, "Some of Mama's cats are prowling about tonight, and I think you are much safer out here." "Well, just for this once, I don't mind," said the little bird. "So long as you let me out in the morning." He ate a very good supper and began to sing. But in the middle of his song, he stopped. "I don't know what the matter with me is," he said, "but I don't feel like singing tonight." "Very well," said September. "Go to sleep instead." So he put his head under his wing and in a minute was fast asleep. September went to sleep too, but when the dawn broke, she was awakened by the little bird calling her at the top of his voice. "Wake up," he said. "Open the door of this cage and let me out. I want to have a good fly while the dew is still wet on the ground." "You're much better off where you are," said September. "You have a beautiful golden cage." Let me out," said the little bird. "You'll have 3 meals a day. You'll have nothing to worry you from morning till night, and you can sing to your heart's content." The little bird tried to slip through the bars of the cage, but he couldn't. He beat against the door, but of course he couldn't open it. He began to cry again. Let me out! "I've only put you in the cage because I'm so fond of you," said Princess September. But the little bird stood in the corner of his cage, looking out at the blue sky, and never sang a note. "Why don't you sing and forget your troubles?" said September. "How can I sing?" answered the bird. "I want to see the trees and the lake and the green rice growing in the fields." "If that is all you want, I'll take you for a walk," said September. She picked up the cage and walked down to the lake round which grew the willow trees. She stood at the edge of the rice fields that stretched as far as the eye could see. "I'll take you out every day," she said. I love you, and I only want to make you happy." "It's not the same thing," said the little bird. "The rice fields and the lake and the willow trees look quite different when you see them through the bars of a cage." So she brought him home again and gave him supper. But he wouldn't eat a thing. The princess was anxious. "Perhaps he'll have got used to his cage by tomorrow," she thought. And next day, when she awoke, she cried out, "Good morning," in a cheerful voice. She got no answer. She jumped out of bed and ran to the cage. She gave a startled cry, for there the little bird lay with his eyes closed, and he looked as if he were dead. She opened the door and lifted him out. She gave a sob of relief, for she felt that his little heart was beating still. Wake up, little bird," she said. She began to cry, and her tears fell on the little bird. "I cannot cry, I cannot sing unless I'm free, and if I cannot sing, I die," he said. "Then take your freedom," the princess said. "I shut you in a golden cage because I loved you and wanted to have you all to myself, but I never knew it would kill you. Go, fly away among the trees that are round the lake, and fly over the green rice fields. I love you enough to let you be happy in your own way." She threw open the window and gently placed the little bird on the sill. "I will come back because I love you, little princess," said the bird, "and I will sing you the loveliest songs I know. I shall go far away, but I shall always come back, and I shall never forget you." Then he opened his wings and flew right away into the blue. September kept her window open day and night, so that the little bird might come into her room whenever he wished.